Hi all. Right, welcome. Oh, wait a minute. How's my phone? Right, welcome back. Anyway, I'm in Kharkov, German solo. Um, I get the feeling this is going to be part 6. I did say that I might be adding this on to part 5. If I was just coming on and starting a Soviet impulse, then it might be the case. But yet more things to. Yet another thing to fix. Wow. I'm only glad I'm popping these things out kind of quick, and there's people responding kind of quick and saying, you've got another mistake there, Grant. This one I don't feel so bad about. I don't think I would have seen this, and I'm so glad it's been brought up because now I'll be looking out for it. This was from Michael, who's been doing the. I don't know. There's a couple of Michaels out there. I don't know. Michael's the one that's doing the. He's doing a video playthrough of the German solo as well. I believe he's a Greek gentleman. So, but he seems to be pretty good with his stuff. I tell you, I've watched a few of his videos, and I try to watch them through when I can, Michael. But obviously, I've got my own stuff to try and take care of. Right, sorry, I ended up being on pause there for a good bit. Right, what was I talking about? I know I mentioned Michael's videos, and yeah, the fact he's been helping me out here, picking up some things. So yeah, he does seem to know his stuff. He doesn't make mistakes himself. So yeah, that's good to have somebody else like that watching your videos as well. So yeah, this one, right. Kind of lost it. Well, totally lost it where I was there. That was annoying. I should have maybe just started again because I was only a minute in there, wasn't I? Right. What we're going to do here, Grant? Yeah, I was away looking at the video. That was it. Right. And so, what conclusion did you come to, Grant? That we could maybe get away with this? Okay, right. I'm going to home in on what we're talking about here. Okay, I think this is quite an interesting one to actually rewind and look at again. This was from part 3 as well, I think. And it was a mobile group pop-off activation, and it was actually the attack. But but interested to know if any of the other you guys picked this one up or not. I certainly don't think I would have. I think. No, he was the other side of the river, wasn't he? Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset it and then I'm going to put it back and just show you what it was that happened. Okay, this was the situation. I'm not so sure if other things are in a place that they would have been at that time. Actually, that's not right, is it? Is it? Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, what it was actually the other thing. This guy was up here, but I'm going to leave him. He's not. Yeah, I better move him back there because it's going to look silly. So what we do is we do an attack check on here. Unit 1 is the first to check. So this must be the first attack that we make. We decide we've got 14 against 3. 14 against 3 is... And there's a lot of... Oh, I tell you what. What was the other guy? Unit 7. He's moved down to there, hasn't he? Yeah, that's worth a look as well. Right, let's turn him over. He was on 1405. Let's hope I don't mess this up. That was the situation. And in actual fact, we do a check here first, and then we've got these reserve units. And while I'm checking to see if these reserve units can be placed, I decide to check this unit first, doing the check, the combat check. I don't know why, because there's 9 strength against this, and there's 14 against this. And obviously it was my first, I think, couple of attacks, and I'm realising now I wouldn't look at this in future. I would just automatically look at these because you're looking for the biggest dodge you can get. So unless it's close, then you're going to just look at the other one. So however, I was looking at see if these reserves can be placed, and I decided that the reserves, looking at attacking this unit, could be placed in this hex, or this hex. And I don't actually consider this hex, which is empty. Not only is it empty, if it was put there, it would surround that unit. And it could trace reserve supply. So Michael actually picked up on that one as well. I never seen that. I should have seen that, yes. I don't feel so bad about the next, but the mistake. But we got away with that because we didn't carry out the attack on this anyway. We carried out the attack on this unit, okay? So I'm just going to chuck that guy back down there and reduce him, just so I remember. And I've got to remember to bring that guy down 1 hex. Was that right? Was he down? Yeah, he was outside. Yeah, because we moved in. Okay. So we then decide that this is a better check. So we check for the reserves getting placed in here. And yes, they can get placed in here. Remember, this is an optional hex because this unit's in here. So if you will, it's just these 3 hexes that we can place a reserve. All right, so let's go put them down again. So it's only these 3 hexes. So we work out, starting off, we've got 14 against 3. So we don't even need to go through the, what is it, tactical value? Is that right? We don't even need to go through that check because we've got 3 to 1. As long as you've got 3 to 1 or greater, the attack automatically goes ahead. So it's going ahead. So let me see if I can get the, in fact there's a card there. That was the last card that got discarded. Right, so let's put it somewhere, let's put it up there, okay? So we've got, I'll need to zoom out a little bit. Right, okay, no, that's fine, because I'll put my dice up as well. So we've got 3 to 1 odds, but I'm going to have to be careful with this because whether I don't think I'll look at this at all because you'll see in a minute. But at the moment, this is what I do. I calculate my odds. So we've got 14 to 3. So we've got 3 to 1. So there we are, 3 to 1 odds. Right. And I look at chip pools here. But this is about, I'm going to have to be careful, like I say. Because, well, let's check what chip pools I've got. I've got 2 for that unit, 1 for that unit, 2 for that unit. So we've got 5 chip pools. So this is how I generally do it and lay these out like this. Now I've not counted combat tactics yet, and I don't believe I miss counting the artillery barrage combat tactic when it comes round to the combat. However, I need to be adding this just now. And that's going to put me off a little bit from the way that I'm generally used to doing things. And the reason I need to add it just now is because of the overwhelming attack and the fact that it's a bit more detailed than it was in Enemy Action Ardennes. You actually can check it, well, I thought you could check it at 3 different stages, and in actual fact, there's more stages that you could check it, and I'll go into this in a minute. There's more than just A3. Well, when I say that, it's still, one of them's still the same stage, but it can happen more than, well, I'll show you in a sec. Well, let's just read it. 12.38, page 33. Soviet overwhelming attack. A Soviet attack is overwhelming if any of the following applies. The attack has odds of 8 to 1 or greater. Right? So we can look at this now and say, right, okay, no. The attack has odds of 6 to 1 or greater and qualifies as a large attack. Well, that's why I need to adjust this now, because we're checking at the moment. Because you check the overwhelming attack. Is it in this bit? Well, it tells you in this bit, because it says, if the attack is overwhelming, do not add reserve units to the attack. Do not draw a card for the attack, and do not apply the auxiliary cards combat. So, you're actually doing that in step, if I go back, it's step 1. Yeah, because step 1 and 2 both say skip if the attack is overwhelming. So it's actually only 2 steps, but there's 3 sort of conditions, and then within one of the conditions there could be more than one, as you'll see. So anyway, these are the ways that you can have an overwhelming attack. 8 to 1 or greater, 6 to 1 or greater, and qualifies as a large attack, which is 7 chip pools. So 6 to 1 and 7 chip pools, and that's why I need to track my chip pools. I need to add this artillery barrage zone just now, because this is before I'm drawing combat tactics and that. I need to know just now. So that's not the case. And then right, sorry, Tracy was just checking up on the dog. Right, the next one is all defending units are unsupplied or dispersed and attack has odds of 5 to 1 or greater. And then the last one is all defending units are isolated and not in a VP hex. So this is the state of affairs. Well, dearie me. Right, I can't seem to get peace now. I've shut the door and all that means is I'm going to get too warm. So the cooler might be going, but at least it drowns the dog barking. Okay, so this is state of affairs right now. We're attacking. Well, let's just get these guys going, right? Because this is happening. This is an attack. So 14 to 3, 3 to 1 odds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chip pools, 1 for the artillery barrage. Which, like I say, I'm going to have to start adding that immediately, because it does come into it. So this is and then we move into step 1. So of the combat sequence, right? That's us. We've decided that's who we're attacking. That's the units that are attacking, and we've got our odds and chip pools sorted out. So step 1 is add active Soviet reserve units, and we had these 2 reserves, okay? And then it says skip if the attack is overwhelming, 12.38. It links you to that. If there are active units in the Soviet reserve units box, add those units to the combat, placing them in valid hexes adjacent to the target 12.2. So 12.38 talks about the Soviet overwhelming attack. But I mean, I know this, I'm talking about the Soviet overwhelming attack, and actually we get to a stage where I get to an overwhelming attack. However, I should get there sooner, and that's because 12.2 says on page 31, Soviet reserves and Soviet attacks. Active Soviet reserve units may be placed on the map to participate in Soviet attacks and then stay in play, right? That's what we're going to do now. In step 1 of a Soviet attack, check active reserve units one at a time in ascending numerical order to determine if each is placed on the map to participate in the attack. Place the reserve unit if, at the moment of the check, the attack is not overwhelming, 12.38, and a placement hex meets the following requirements. So, as you can see there, it says check active reserve units one at a time in ascending numerical order, and then place the reserve unit if, at the moment of the check, the attack is not overwhelming. So, I didn't get that at all. And like Michael's pointed out to me, that as soon as we introduce, and when I was doing that check, these numbers would have came into it. So we would have had more than an initial 3 to 1, wouldn't we? I can't remember what it was. It was 10 plus that, wasn't it? So what was that? 6, 10, 14. It's 24 to 3. So we knew we had, 5 to 1 odds, didn't we? We knew we could get at least 5 to 1 odds. Is that right? No, it must be 6 to 1. Right, what am I missing here? 6, 10, 14, 19. Yeah, I'm counting things wrong, aren't I? 10, 16, 20, 24 to 3 is 8 to 1 odds, yeah. That's right, so I knew I could get a maximum of 8 to 1 odds. But then we go back to what we've actually got, which is 3 to 1. Now we're about to bring this reserve unit in. So when we bring this reserve unit in, I can't remember what hex he goes into. Right, hang on, I took a picture of it. What is he? Unit 4, isn't he? Yeah. Just rather than go through the procedure again. So he actually comes in and goes into this hex here. Yeah, he goes on top. So he comes in here. Now he then adds an R5 strength and a chip pool, and that's important because we've now got 19 strength, right, against 3. 19 against 3 is 6 to 1 odds, so I need to change this now. And what does it also bring in? Another chip pool. I need to change this now. Because now we've got 6 to 1 odds with 7 chip pools, which is a large attack, and one of the conditions for an overwhelming attack, I've lost the bit, was that? There it is that the attack has odds of 6 to 1 or greater and qualifies as a large attack. 7 or more combat chips will be drawn. So when we place that first reserve unit, we are now at an overwhelming attack. So I never clicked to that at all, and then clearly I brought in the other reserve. And I still thought, is that right? But yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, because the way it's worded, it says, in step 1 of Soviet attack, check active reserve units one at a time in ascending numerical order to determine if each is placed on the map to participate in the attack. So we're determining the first one, and then it says place the reserve unit if at the moment of the check the attack is not overwhelming. Well, it wasn't overwhelming there. We now got to try and place this other reserve unit. It's overwhelming. This guy's going back in the reserve units box. So he didn't get involved at all. So I'm not really sure what the outcome of the attack is, because the original outcome was this guy got eliminated. But I'm now going to have to find out what the chits were, because they might be relevant. Because we added this other unit, which not only brought another 5 strength along, turning this into 8 to 1, it added another chip pool to make it 8 chip pools. So it was 8 to 1 and 8 chip pools. Sorry, that could have been worse. Dropped my tweezers right beside the calendar, but I missed everything. But in actual fact, we're going to be sitting at 6 to 1 with 7 chip pools. Now, because that's overwhelming, again, we don't consider drawing a combat tactic or using the auxiliary card. I want to say there was no auxiliary card. No, was there? Well, this must have been the first. No. Because this was the auxiliary card, wasn't it? So there's no auxiliary card anyway. But it wouldn't matter. He wouldn't be drawing a combat tactic, and he wouldn't have used the auxiliary card for a combat tactic if it had been there, because it's an overwhelming attack. So well spotted on that one, Michael. Like I say, I don't think I would have caught that, even though I was talking about it, and I think we got, once we put the second reserve down, this is a good thing about it, because I didn't draw any cards, because once we put the second reserve down, we changed it into 8 to 1 with 8 chip pools, which does qualify as an overwhelming attack as well, obviously. So then I didn't draw a combat tactic. However, I don't know what the chits were, so this could be interesting, and maybe that guy survives. I don't know. Not so sure about that, but right, so I'm going to go and find out what the chits were. Okay, there's me. Oh yeah, before I say, I said there was 8 to 1 odds. It was actually 9 chip pools, because this other unit was a 3-stepper, which I forgot about. So he actually brought 2 more chip pools along. Why have I only got 8 chits then, Grant? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I only drew 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, okay, I messed that up as well then. I'm looking at I was watching back in the video there, and yeah, because once that other unit came in, he brought another 5 strength, taking it to 2043, which was 8 to 1 odds, and he's a 2-step unit, so he moves. Yeah. He moves it up by another 2 chip pools. And I'm showing 9 there, but I've only drawn 8 chits. Okay, well, you know what? We should only been drawing 7 chits. Right, a slight dilemma though, because it's one of the few times where I put out these 3 chits. I think is it just there? They must be the first 3 then. Let me just look at that. And then I hit this replenish chit, which is quite fortunate actually. So it then means that I did shuffle. These did get all shuffled in again as well. So, however, one of these chits. Well, we're only drawing 7, so one of these chits is not getting drawn. Well. Yeah, let me just see. I don't know. I don't know if these came in order or not. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just take this one away. I think and then that's us got our 7. The thing is, this doesn't apply because it's not 8 to 1. However, it's got a 6 to 1 in the back. There you go. So that would have. However, that was a D2 and an A minus 1. So this might be. No, it's still going to be the same, isn't it? What did that take away in A1? Oh, you know what? It might end up with a hit for them. Because all them apply. All the rest of them apply. It was a clear hex. That was 6 to 1, 2 to 1. This was less than 4 to 1, but it was 9 to 1 in the front. I remember even making a comment of that. So, which was quite cool. Well, it was quite close if you're thinking it was 8 to 1, but however, it was only 6 to 1. Attack of command, yeah, okay. I'm not, well, you know what, I'm just going to have to suffer. I'm not 100% sure if this was the last hex, last chit drawn, which is rather annoying because, I mean, they certainly would all be there. But it might have been that this was the last chit drawn and this was like this. But I can't. There's no way of me telling because I don't pause the camera in between. I just lay them all out. Once I get the 3 out, and then I cut in and say, right, I'm going to replenish the cup, and then I'll lay the rest of this 5 chits out. So I'm going to just go by the fact that was the last chit. That seems fair, though rather annoying if it wasn't the case. Okay, so that would have meant there's the 7 chits, 6 to 1 odds. That would have meant the result was D4. So in some ways that's quite good because the guy is retreat, step loss. So he's still dead. So in some ways I'm kind of glad. That means we don't need to mess about with the unit. The one plus to us is though that one of the units is going to take a hit. So that's good. So I'm glad you did bring it up, Michael. So we've got an A1 hit because if you remember in the previous, well this was flipped over, and they actually had D5, and where have I put that chip back? There, was that in there? No, right, I'm lost. It's clear, wasn't it? That was it there. And of course that was the other, that's what we had, and the result was D5, but the result, this was an A minus 1, so the result was D5 and A1. However, because, what was it called? Unfulfilled hits, they only needed 4 hits to kill the unit, so the one left over was able to take that hit away from them, and then they didn't suffer any hits at all. But with this, because this chit didn't apply on that side, and it does apply on that side at 6 to 1, then it's only D4, and there's no A minus 1 to take that away, and that A1 is going to apply, so they do have to take 1 hit. Okay, so 1 hit to dish out to them, which is nice. So assign hits to Soviet attackers, page 36, 12.54. First hit, assign the first hit incurred by Soviet units attacking combat as a step loss. Additional hits. After removing a step for the first hit, use the table below to assign additional hits. Ooh, and it's a big kind of table that we've not seen before. Okay, so applying step losses. Apply a Soviet step loss to the unit with the most steps. Among units with the most steps, apply the loss to the unit with a higher selector. With a higher selector, yeah. Among units with the same selector, you choose. Okay, so what have we got in here? Well, we had 2 3-step units, didn't we? So we have this guy, he's got selector number 1, and we have these 2 are 2 steps. This is a 3-step unit. This is the guy that takes the hit. So unit 8, which is 57G Popov, he takes the hit, and so it drops from 3 strength to 4 strength. So the other way about, 4 strength to 3 strength. Right, and the unit was eliminated. So now the advance went. Yeah, remember we had a unit in here, and they couldn't go from zone of control to zone of control. So the 2 units advanced into. Oh, one of them was the unit that. Was one of them one of the units that? I think one of them was a unit that came on as a reserve and now isn't there, so I might need to adjust that. Right, hang on. Well, I took a picture of that again. Let's have a look at the picture. I've got Unit 1 and Unit 5. Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, this unit was stacked with this guy, and they're the two that advanced. So, however, we checked this one. He advanced one. Now, there wasn't a 2-hex advance option because there was zone of controls tying them up, and there was no path of retreat, remember. So I must have checked 4. I must have rolled for 4 first. So you know what I'll do? My second roll, which was for unit selector number 5, would have been selector number 6. So we'll just move him in there, and that'll keep it right. And then there was 2 units already advanced. Well, he had a roll that didn't make it. And then this guy didn't get to check anyway. I don't think he would have advanced into there anyway. Right, I think that's it fixed. Although I need to move some units back, so this guy needs to come down. Sorry about this, but he came down to there. That was another mistake. And they are sitting the way they are. However, this guy is not on the map. He's back in the reserve units box, so he'll come back in on the next pop-off attack, maybe, or yeah. Okay, right, excellent, well spotted, Michael. Yeah, curious to know if any of the rest of you guys seen that one. Martin, what about you? Did you catch that one? Or, well, obviously, if you've maybe seen the comments after, then you don't get away with that. But you're an honest guy, Martin. I'm sure you would come clean. So let me know if you want. Anyway, it was a good one. So no, I'm not so disappointed, but I'm really glad that he brought that up and we were able to fix it in time, because I think I could have went right through this game and not considered that. I would have just chucked all the reserves in before checking for overwhelming attack. So surely that should stick in my head now, you would think. Right, okay. Right, let's get some gameplay then. So it does look like this is probably going to be a part to its own, because that's 27 minutes. Right, okay, we're going to draw another Soviet impulse. Right, let's get ready for that. Okay, so got that in the wee table just now. Actually, the bulb for this other lamp, the lamp I've got up here, sorry, on the right hand side here anyway, it is kind of went, so it was more of a sort of backup kind of option. I don't think it's really needed, in particular when it's daylight anyway. But I'm also sure I've got a replacement bulb for that one, so we shall see. Right, okay, so Soviet impulse time, is it definitely? Yeah, we eventually moved Rouse units back. That seems like ages ago that happened, because we then made a change, we made a fix, we made a change. I'm glad you guys are watching, keeping me straight. It's not started as smooth as I'd hoped, but anyway, right, we'll pod on. This is a dangerous part in the Soviet impulse, so try and concentrate, Grant, and try and get it right. There's a few things that are stuck in my head now that I think that's why during that Soviet solo, the reason I went into a take 2 was because there was a couple of things that I was just getting wrong, and once I realised I was getting them wrong, then I was getting them right after that. But not that it made the whole journey flawless, but it certainly helped with the aim. So, but I'm glad these mistakes have been picked up in good time, quickly, and we've dealt with them. Right, okay. Right, I'm going to draw 2 cards for the Soviet impulse. I'm just chucking them down in any kind of order. Ooh, both from 69th Army. Right, well, primary card goes in the command card box if there's only one, and that is the case. So, 69th Army. Right, well, first of all, we check for an event on the auxiliary card. Now, we don't check special events, so that special does not count. I'm right with that one. I'm just going to look. I know I'm right, but I'm just going to look. Yeah, special events don't count, right? So there is an event on the card, but it's from turn 5, forward support. So that's not going to happen. So now we move on to this card. and yeah, just do from top to bottom. And the first one is activate all units in the army. So we're going to attempt to activate all 69 army units. Now the combat tactic in the auxiliary card is the air power, so that card will sit there. It might get used for air power. If it doesn't get used for air power or doesn't get used for anything at all, then once we finish with this impulse, it will come across here and we'll activate 69th army again. Will we? No, we'll do the special. Okay, right. Okay, right, let's see what we're going to do about these 69th army guys. Okay, so activate all units in 69th army. Right, first thing that you do when you activate an army is check the front objective for that army. And also, if it happens to be one of the army objective armies, but it's 40th Army on Vornev's front, and it's 1st Guards on the other front. So it's not the 69th Army. So we just need to check the Vornev's front objective marker. Is there a Soviet unit proximate to it? No. Is there a German unit in it? And would a Soviet unit be proximate to that German unit? No. And the last one is, well, actually, maybe the first one. Is there a Soviet unit from, and these are all from that front, from the Vornev's front. Is there a Vornev's front unit in the actual hex? No. So the front marker stays where it is. So we don't need to bother about that. Right, and then secondly, we want to start moving units. So you can see they've got a bit of space to move. They may well push on to the Rouse units that are down here, or maybe to here, because their front objective is, just zoom in out a little bit, it's kind of down this way, so they might come down this way, so they might end up coming towards this guy, but we shall see. Right, so this is turns, it's still turns 1 to 4, so, and the front objectives on the map, so it's, what is it, 9.21, oh, 5 to 7 years. Okay, I may be reading that wrong then, have I? I'm looking at it in the player aid just now. It says in the player aid 1 to 4, all units, and then turns 5 to 7, units with front objective in play, 9.21. So I may have picked that one up wrong. Either way, we're still doing 9.21, right? So we check them all. Now I'm going to try and look at the player aid, but I'm going to have it open on the. I'm going to have it open in the rule book as well. So the first movement method 1 is take VP hex. We do this in descending order. And if yeah, okay, yeah, because I didn't read all these things. I'd read it before. I read it in the rules. That's a nasty one, that though. Urban infiltration. So it says, if starting adjacent to the town city hex, move into that hex regardless of German zones of control. So I think it was a way of stopping us from sort of like hanging around about, rather than being in a town, hanging around about it, you know, sort of surrounding round about it, so that the unit couldn't move in because it couldn't move from zone of control to zone of control. Well, it can do that now, so you need to watch with that. Anyway, so yeah, it's take VPX, enter an empty German town or city. Well, there's none of them. There's not an empty German town or city that they could reach. The other option could be enter an empty map, VP hex, if there's no town or city to enter, but there's none of that as well. So let's skip on by. Step 2 is in ascending order, adjacent to German VP hex and near objective. Well, the nearest VPX for them, I think, is Volchansk here, isn't it? These are not anything. Yeah, so that's the nearest for them, and they're only infantry. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. This is as close as any of these units are going to get to this VP hex. So we can probably just move on by that a little bit. Okay, yes, and I will do that because we can't get that. So movement method 3 is open supply line, however only starts from turn 3 onwards. Movement method, right, so now we're on movement methods 4 to 9. So they are Soviet spearheads. So units in the Soviet 3rd Tank Army and Mobile Group Popov are considered spearhead units as long as their front subject markers in play. So they would skip them. However, we're not on them, so they would skip them unless they're in a town or city, innit? Did we not look at that with the Popov units already? Yeah, we did. So we're going to go through all these anyway. Yeah, turns 1 to 2, supplied spearhead units, skip methods. Yeah. So we're not a spearhead unit, so we're going to carry on with step 4, aren't we? Yeah. So step 4 would be, in descending order, cause surround. So move to a hex causing a German unit to be surrounded. And just to add to that, again, the bits that I was skipping before, if already causing surround but not adjacent to the surrounded unit, move adjacent. I don't think any of them are going to be able to surround anything. No. Remember, it's just you're looking at them individually, so one unit would have to move to a hex that then surrounded a German unit. So, 1, 2, 3, into there, but that's not surrounding. Okay, so no, let's skip on by that. So movement method 5 to Soviet VP hex. Move to enter garrison Soviet VP hex targeted for active front to which German unit proximate. And interestingly, okay, I was just reading on there the rule book. It's just it says that an infantry unit starting in a VP hex stacked with only armour units does not move by this or any subsequent method. So something to remember, because again you could probably skip by and say, well, I can't move to a Soviet VP hex. I mean, these units can actually move to a Soviet VP hex, but there's not a German unit proximate to it. But if they had been if there'd been an armoured unit in that hex and this unit had been stacked with it, he would have not moved, and he wouldn't have moved out of that. Infantry unit starting in a VP hex stacked with only armour units does not move by this or any subsequent method. Right, okay. So, and there's no other Soviet. I mean, there's another Soviet. We've got 2 Soviet VP hexes. That's all they've got, innit? They've only got 2. So, yeah, and there's not a German unit proximate to either one of them. So we can skip by method 5. Method 6. I don't know, I still feel like I want to read it off the rule book just now. Maybe that's probably better still. Just, it can sometimes break it down a bit in the playwright. Right, so method 6 is adjacent to German VP hex. Move to a hex adjacent to German VP hex targeted for the active front. Yeah, and then this is one of the ones that a Soviet unit starting adjacent to the most qualified German VP hex does not move by this or any subsequent method except as directed by 9.25. Right, well, I've already said that none of the units can get down, and this is the nearest German VP hex, so we can move past that one. Move method 7, adjacent to German unit in logistics hex. Move adjacent to a German unit in a logistics hex for the active front. Well, the logistics hex for that front are down here. There's no German units in it, and even if there was, none of these infantry units are getting anywhere near it. And plus the fact we do have a line here that's not broken, so nothing can break through yet. They could come and take us out first and then maybe make a hole in a gap in the line, but at the moment we're alright. So, and then step 8, right, move method 8, adjacent to German unit. So move to an unoccupied hex that is adjacent to German unit and not adjacent to Soviet unit, adjacent to that same German unit. Oh, see the way they word these things, eh? And then there's preferences, and just to remind us that a unit starting in a hex satisfying this movement method does not move by this or any subsequent method except as directed in 9.25 again. Okay, so in what order are we doing this? In descending order. So what have we all got here? We've got 14, a 13, a 12 and an 11 and a 10. That's it, 16th Army. Yeah, so we've got 5 units. So yeah, this is going to happen, isn't it? So unit 14, move to an unoccupied hex that is adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. Okay, I'm going to put some cubes down. Okay, so I'm looking at unit 14. I really need to get red cubes. I mean, these were fine when I was playing with the Ardennes. These were the Allied options, and the blue for the Germans were quite good, but we need some red for the Soviets. So yeah, looking at unit 14. Now he can reach it, each one of them. I know this is like cubes everywhere sort of thing, but I paused it there and worked it out for myself. I mean, okay, it's not that complicated that. But anyway, there are its options. Now, and he's not starting in a hex that satisfies this already, right? Okay. And these are unoccupied hexes that are adjacent to a German unit and they're not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. Okay, that's right. So now we want to look at the preferences. Prefer A hex adjacent to the most German units. Oh well, there we go, we stop. This is a winner. Because he's adjacent to 2 German units and all the rest are adjacent to 1. Okay, I think that's right. Well, that wasn't that difficult, was it? A hex adjacent to the most German units. That's preference A. So there's where he wants to go, okay? So what we're going to do is, I'm going to move him 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I'm going to put that cube back there just now because when we move adjacent to a German unit, right, we then need to look at 9.25. And I'll just keep looking at that in the book just now. Where are we? I went too far. Much too far. Well, actually, one other thing to consider maybe first is 9.23, I want to say it is. Is that the restrictions? Yeah, restrictions. And these restrictions apply at the end of a unit's move by any movement method. Do not conduct a move if it would cause a surrounded German unit to become no longer surrounded, cause one or more German units to become proximate to an empty garrison Soviet town or city, cause a map edge VPX to become vacant, and then the next one's from turn 4 onwards, cause a Soviet unit to become unable to trace supply. And then the last one is end with a Soviet mechanised unit in Marsh Hex. It does have a wee bit here which I read over and it's worthwhile reading again. Take care in checking for situations that prevent or limit Soviet movement. For example, a Soviet move away from a road might allow German supply to be traced to a distant Soviet town city, violating restriction B. Yeah, because restriction B is, I mean, it's strict up until turn 4, but from turn 4, it is cause one or more German units to become proximate to, or from turn 4, German supply to be traceable to an empty or garrison Soviet town or city hex. It says does not apply if the situation exists at the start of the move. Yeah, does not apply. Yeah, so you need to watch that one, because if it's just going to restrict you, if German supply can be traced to that from turn 4, you know, all we need to do is trace German supply up to that VP town. I mean, okay, we're not able to do it, but you know what I mean. It's not that we're tracing proximity. We're going to have to watch for supply trace, and by moving a unit like that, if you're not switched on and thinking about that, then that's going to be an easy one on us. Right, so it doesn't look like we're breaking any restrictions there, does it? Everything sounded fine there. Right, hang on, just let me. That wee bit, sort of italic text at the bottom, carries on. Some moves may be limited but not prohibited by these restrictions. Thus, if the preferred destination of a given movement method violates a restriction, while a less preferred destination of that method does not, then implement the less preferred option. Yeah, that's fine. I get that. So what it's saying is this is the most preference, right? Because it's adjacent to 2 German units. Let's just say it was breaking a restriction. However, if this hex, only adjacent to 1 German unit, was not breaking the restriction, it could still go there. Right. Good. Got you. Right, so that's 9.23 taken care of. 9.25. Tactical preferences when moving adjacent to German units. It's going to come here a lot. This is going to be my new 10.54 from Soviet Solo. Right, sorry, that's getting confusing. Okay, these preferences apply to all moves in which a Soviet unit would end its move in a hex adjacent to a German unit. And also they apply to movement methods that calls for a Soviet unit starting adjacent to a German unit to not move, and that's where it kind of takes care of movement method 12, but again, yes, why not write it there? And they take priority over preferences in a given movement method. And they also apply to Soviet units moving via the reinforced battle combat tactic during a Soviet attack. So when ending a move adjacent to a German unit, prefer a hex within the current Soviet operational limit. Right, that's not going to apply at the moment. A hex would cause the German unit to become surrounded. Well, no, because we would have tried to do that already. A hex and Soviet support, they're all in support. A hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. Oh, there you go. Really? Yeah. Well, no. Because right, well, I'm not sure. I might need some help with that one. Again, because this is a hex adjacent to a Soviet unit, as you can clearly see. So that was preference D, a hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. Now, we're looking at being adjacent to 2 German units here. Now, we can't get any further around this guy. This is the only hex we can get adjacent to this German unit, because from there, 1, 2, 3, 4, it would need 5 movement to get to this hex. So I can't get. However, I can get to this hex, and I can, which is also adjacent to a Soviet unit, but however, I can also get to this hex, which would still be adjacent to this German unit, and it wouldn't be adjacent to a Soviet unit. However, it's then not allowing me to, yeah, but Grant, this does say it takes preference. I'm not 100% sure about that though. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I think this guy moves. I think he adjusts. Let's just read on. It says, this means that if a move by a given movement method would end in a hex adjacent to a German unit, which we're having, then apply the tactical adjustments of 9.25, even if those adjustments result in the move shifting to an end hex not conforming to the tiebreakers, preferences, or requirements of the movement method. Well, we are At the moment, we are conforming to the preferences of the movement method, which was adjacent to most German units, right? But that's telling you that could result in the move shifting to an end hex not conforming with these preferences. It says make sure, however, that the unit's move conforms to the rules for movement and the restrictions of 9.23. Yeah, which we'd already checked for the hex that he's in. So again, yeah, you would adjust it and then, yeah, well, you know what? I think he's not going there now. I think he's going here, because that is adjacent to a Soviet unit. And we can't reach there. That would be adjacent to a Soviet unit too. That would still be adjacent to this unit, and it would not be adjacent to a Soviet unit. Now it's broke the preference of being adjacent to more than one, the most German units, because it's only adjacent to one now. However, it does say that 9.25 takes precedence with that. You know, it takes over and could change things. Like the example that I showed you about moving along with arrows and then suddenly saying, right, I'm not moving with arrows anymore because I can surround this guy. And then you think, well, you know, you could easily sort of miss that if you're not. This is why this 9.25 is so important, I think, to get things all right. Anyway, you know, I dare say some folk play this game and maybe don't pay too much attention to all this. I'd like to see some of the videos of the folk that have played the game and looked over them. I mean, obviously they're not recording it, they're just playing it, and just to see how they actually went about these things, because this is where the complexity is in this game, isn't it? I'm not saying that you aren't following it strictly by the rules, guys. I'm not saying that at all, but it's tricky. It's tricky. I'm not the brightest. Yeah, that's true. So it's trickier for me. Right, well, I'm going to go with that one. And again, I don't feel that he's broke any of the restrictions in 9.23. Nope. No, I don't. So that's where he's going to move to. But please tell me if you think that was wrong. Although I was taking my time over that, and I really do feel that that's right. Here's hoping. Keep my fingers crossed. Right, so next would be Unit 13 then. So he can do the same, movement method 8. So it's just on the page before Grant, a couple of pages before. So again, move to an occupied hex that is adjacent to a German unit and not, now this is where this bit's going to come in, and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. So this guy can't just move to here because he's going to be adjacent to this guy adjacent to the same German unit. Right, I'll try and pick some hexes for him. Okay, so there's what I think. We're looking at Unit 13. And yeah, and like I say, he can't go there because he's then going to be adjacent to Soviet unit, adjacent to the same German unit. It needs to be an unoccupied hex that is not adjacent to a Soviet unit, adjacent to that same German unit. Yeah, so all the other hexes are. Now this one is okay as well because he moves here. Although he's adjacent, well, it's actually not going to be, is it? Because once we get to 9.25, I think this is going to be the winner, isn't it? But although he's adjacent to this Soviet unit, this Soviet unit isn't adjacent to the same German unit that he's adjacent to. So that's why that means it's a legitimate hex, whereas this one's not. Right, okay. So there's these 4 options. Right, okay, I guess we're going to be able to speed things up, but let's just look at the preferences again for this one. So again, it's a hex adjacent to the most German units. So yeah, he is going to look at moving to here again, isn't he? From there, yeah, because he's adjacent to 2 units. Yeah. And again, once we look at 9.25, now hang on though. We've got to remember that could we have surrounded? No, we couldn't. But we do need to take that into consideration after every move. You know, you do need to look at that. So operational limits, get that. Hex that would cause German unit to become surrounded. So would any of the other hexes cause the Soviet unit to become surrounded? No. And to be honest, that could include, oh no, like, well, yeah. If this was, you know, this could then be, if he was surrounding, he could then go to there, even though it's adjacent to a Soviet unit, adjacent to the same German unit. Whoa, steady up, Grant. Right. This is going to start frying my brain. It started quite early. I was like, today when I got up and I was like, right, I want to do something, and I was like, oh, there's so many things in my head right now. I mean, yeah. There's a reason the rule book's how many pages? 50. It's got 50 plus, isn't it, pages, whereas I think we only had 40, just over 40 maybe. Yeah, there's reason for that. Okay, so right, we can't find something that can surround the German unit anyway. Soviet support, they're all in support. A hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit, so it brings us back to that one. And this is adjacent to a Soviet unit. This would be adjacent to a Soviet unit. This would be adjacent to a Soviet unit. This, however, would not be. So unless there's any restrictions, he's going in there. And he went in there from that green cube that's left on the map. So has he broken any restrictions? Have we opened up anything here to this maybe? No, and again, like it reminds you, I mean, not yet, but come turn 4, it might not just be proximity, it might just be supply, German supply. So anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves there, I suppose. So yeah, I feel okay-ish about that one. Well, you felt confident at the first one, Grant, so yeah, okay. So Unit 12, which is underneath this, so I'll bring him at the top, would be next. So where's he going to go? I might start not putting cubes down now, but then again I might, so yeah, I'm just going to put that. If I pause the camera and I want to look at it, that's, as long as I'm pausing the camera, I'm not putting you through the pain of watching me place cubes down. Right, get on with it, Grant. So again, movement method 8. So there are his options, and I've just put, well, to be honest, right, let's go with the whole lot, because he can actually go there as well. All of them are adjacent to a German unit, but hang on, let's break it down. Are they adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to the same German unit? That one would be, so that one's away. That one would be, so that one's away. They two are okay. The two empty ones are okay, and obviously they could go to the two that have got a unit in the hex. Unlikely, but so move adjacent. No, move to another. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. It needs to be unoccupied, Grant. Right. Okay, so that's why they're not an option. Dope. Okay. Fair enough. And then preferences. So there's only 2 options. Yeah. A hex adjacent to the most German units. They're both the same. A German unit to which no Soviet unit is adjacent. A German unit to which no Soviet unit is adjacent. Well, that is a case. That is that. A German unit to which no Soviet unit is adjacent. Yeah, so that still doesn't break it down. 1, 2. Yeah, that's fine. And then it says the closest German unit. Well, we're only targeting the one German unit, so that's fine. So we can't break it down anymore. So we would have to look tiebreakers there. Where's that about? That's on the next. That's 9.24, is it? Yeah. More than one destination. Closest to the unit's objective marker if in play. Yeah, I know we're just going to bounce to 9.25 here anyway, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're both the same. An empty hex, they're both empty. The hex furthest in the compass direction indicating the objective marker of in play. Well, it's showing a west. I'm looking for my wee compass because I'm not sure. West is down the way. So this one would be the target. So unit 12 would move to there from there. So that's where you should move to within the... What's that word again? I keep forgetting that word. Requirements. Well, actually, preferences. The requirements, then the preferences, then the tiebreakers. That's where you should move. That uses them all up. The requirements, the preferences, and then the tiebreakers. Well, it goes through the preferences. It can't. That's why it needs to go into tiebreakers. Right. Okay, Grant. Fish. So again, 9.25. I'm going to skip the operational limit. Well, I maybe shouldn't. There's no operational limit as of yet. A hex would cause German unit to become surrounded. No. A hex and Soviet support, they're all in support. A hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit, and this is where we're kind of stuck this time, because this is adjacent to a Soviet unit, and this would be adjacent to a Soviet unit as well. An empty or garrisoned hex, they're both empty. A hex not occupied by an active unit, they're both not occupied by an active unit. So that tells me that he stays at his tie-breaked hex then. Is that right, guys? I think so. Hopefully. Right, so that's him done. Oops, sorry for the hairy knuckles. The hairy knuckle show. Right. So we've got 2 to go. Right, well, let's see where Unit 11 can get to them. Okay, well, it's obviously just the 2 empty hexes that are left that we can reach. And remember, there's no break in the line, so we can't sneak. You know, we can't even get to this hex. Not that he would have been able to make it, but I think the guy that started there would have been. But we can't get in there because there's no gap. So they're the 2 options. So we should be able to speed this up a bit more now. You would have thought. Still no restrictions, Broken Grant? No, don't believe so. Don't think so. Right, hex adjacent to the most German units. They're no. We've got a winner there, haven't we? So that wants to go to there again. So let's put him there. And he might well stay there this time. Now there is a gap now through here. No, there's not. There's not. Not that it matters. There's not a gap through here. They're keeping a line as they're coming down. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Pretty smart. So yeah, jumping again. It's not surrounding anybody, is it? No. A hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. Well, both these hexes would be adjacent to a Soviet unit. An empty or garrison hex, they're all empty. A hex not occupied by an active unit, yeah. So that's his preference hex through his requirement. So he's going to stay exactly there. So the last one is probably just going to go in here, isn't he? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, because he's looking for, yeah. I think it's going to be as simple as that. I don't even think we need to check in there, do we? Yeah, because the requirement is an unoccupied hex, isn't it? Move to an unoccupied hex as adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same diagram. Yeah, you've screwed up there, haven't you? Why did you not just slow it down? You started speeding up at the end there. Yeah. Right, I think I just needed to rewind 10 and 11, didn't I? So 14 moved into here, although I think he got adjusted. He was one of the ones that got adjusted from here to here, didn't he? Then 13 moved into there. He wasn't adjacent. 12 moved into there, which isn't adjacent as well to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit, although he's adjacent to this Soviet unit. Right, let's do unit 11 again. Yeah, I just speeded up there and then forgot about what I was trying to do. So move to an unoccupied hex is adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. Now, it's not to say that it couldn't adjust into that, because I think that could be the case, but however, he's not got a hex then, has he? They don't have a hex with that. I cannot remember that word. Requirement. Yeah, move to an unoccupied hex that is adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. Because he could go to there, but that doesn't work. He could go to there, but that doesn't work because of this guy. And 1, 2, 3. Well, he can actually. He can get down to there, but again, he's adjacent to this guy, adjacent to the same. So, yeah, these last two units will not move by movement method 8. So we're moving on. Yeah, that's right, Grant. I'm sure that's right. So 9 is relieve garrison. That only happens from turn 4 onwards. Movement methods 10 to 12 apply to all units. Well, yeah. So follow movement arrows. If the unit occupies the hex with a movement arrow, move hex to hex in the direction, but it's got to be able to spend all its movement. So unlikely, but we're doing this in ascending order. So unit 10, his arrow is in there. He might 1, 2, 3. No, he's only got to spend 3. But hang on, is there any secondary arrows in there? So there's only a primary arrow in the first one, so he's no choice but to go 1 into there. He's no choice but to go 1 into there. And he's no choice but to go 1 into there. So that's 3, and that stops him. So he's not spending all his movement. And then obviously unit 11 is going to be the same. He's not going to be able to spend it all. So yeah, not going to happen. So movement method 11 is move to a hex closer to the unit's front objective, not the same distance from the objective. Then after the preferences it says distance to the front objective is traced regardless of intervening units and terrain, except that distance can't be traced across a blocked Dnieper River hexside. Okay, so they just want to get closer to the army objective, the front objective even. Okay, should be able to do this then. So maybe just open it out a little bit to see the front objectives down here. How's this done in ascending order? So unit 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, right. Just kind of thinking that this might be where he wants to go, but 1, 2, 3, 4. He might be wanting to get as close as possible. I'm going to guess that he probably wants to try and be adjacent to German unit while doing so, but we shall see. So preferences are closest to the front objective. Well, I'm wrong. Second preference would be adjacent to German occupied hex with least strength. Okay, so I would have maybe thought that they were round the other way day too, but they're not. So there you go. So one, right, let me check numbers on that, see how far we are away. Okay, however, this hex, both these hexes are 6 away from the front marker. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, that's 7 away. So that's 6 away and that's 6 away. So they're as close as it can get. And this one is going to follow up with the second preference, I think. So they're closest to the front objective. There's only the 2 options. Yes. And then, so the second preference is adjacent to German occupied hex with least strength. And then the third preference is empty hex. So next we want to say is going to go 1, that is just a clear hex, yeah. 1, 2, 3, and then he's going to come in beside this guy. 4. There he was there. No restrictions broken, I don't think. Again, 9.25 is going to have to be checked, but these, like I say, these 2 hexes were the same distance away, so they were as close as it could get, and the second preference was adjacent to the lowest strength German unit, whereas that was not adjacent to German unit at all. That was no restrictions broken. So unless 9.25 wants to move that, well, actually, I should have left that there, because in case it does, we need to check that it can move to wherever he's wanting to go. So again, operational limit, no. Hex would cause German unit to become surrounded. No, we can't do that. A hex in Soviet support, no support. A hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. I could have been in all 3 of these hexes around this unit, and all 3 of them would have been adjacent to a Soviet unit. An empty or garrisoned hex. Well, here we go. Wow, now we're getting deeper into it, aren't we? So this is not empty or garrisoned. We've moved adjacent to this German unit, getting closer to our front objective, and in actual fact, we're going to move back further. We're not going to move as far, because this is not an unoccupied hex, and these 2 are. An empty or garrison hex. So between the 2, a hex not occupied by an active unit, they're both. Oh right, where'd you go now then? Where do you go now? Because I can't go to tie. Oh well, okay, we kind of met this already before, didn't we? I can't go to tiebreakers. Can I? I kind of thought tiebreakers. I don't think I can go from 9.25 back to tiebreakers, can I? Or can I? I'm thinking I need to still consider what this guy's trying to do. What is it again? The requirements of him. And his requirements were to get as close as possible to the front objective. And you can clearly see that if he's here or here, this hex is going to be closer to than what this one has. So I'm going to say that he is going to adjust. I'm glad we're coming to this is going to, well, God, I do need to check for combat as well. Jesus. Right, okay. Well, yeah. Hopefully you can tell me if I'm getting this wrong, guys. So I think I'm going to adjust into an empty or garrison hex between these 2. I'm not going to look at tiebreakers. What I'm going to look at is back to his requirements. Well, not his requirements, his actual preferences within the requirements, which were closest to the front objective. That was the first preference. And that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 away. So that is going to be the better of the 2 options. What do you think? Yes, I think so. Well, you know what? I've got deep into this now, so we need to know if we're doing this right, because these tactical preferences are going to adjust quite a lot. I think maybe more than I thought. Was this similar to the previous game? You know what? I don't think it was, but I think it was something that they were working through, and there was questions came up. I don't think it was as detailed as this anyway. Yeah, maybe tactical adjustments. Like I say, it was called tactical adjustments. I'm sure it was. Should maybe look up, get the book out, rule book out, and have a look. Okay, right. We've still got Unit 11 to move then, and can we move him on movement method 11? Well, yes, we sure can. So he's going to get closer to his front objective as well. He's going to prefer the closest hex, so let me have a look. Okay, so this time this guy can move 1 hex closer, so there's his two options. These are both 5 away from the objective, right? So they're both as close. I'm looking at it wrong. No, I'm not. Closest to the front objective, they're both 5 away. Adjacent to German occupied hex with least strength. Well, yeah, because they've got to be as close as possible. Yeah, so they would both be adjacent, right? Okay, and then empty hex, right? So he would preference into there, empty hex. So again, he's now moving adjacent to this German unit. So we flip over again and look at operational limits and all that. Right, no operational limit. German unit to become surrounded, no. Hex and Soviet support. A hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. And remember, you can reach these two, which would both be adjacent to a Soviet unit. An empty or garrison hex, that would be the one. So that is correct this time, and it doesn't want to alter it. And that is that. Oops. There you go. Right, and no restrictions broken. Good. Excellent, I think. Okay, let's push on, mind you. Maybe I could do with taking a pause. It's taking longer than I thought. Yeah, that's the airport. You know what? I'll put things on pause here. I've got my camera plugged in anyway, so it's not going to die. So just gonna have a wee pause. But I'm hoping to put this all as one part. I don't think it's going to. It looks like there's going to be an attack on this, and maybe a check on this that might happen. What's our thing that cards? Air power. Well, that doesn't really come into it anyway, does it? Right, I'll just pause for now. I'll be back. Well, when I'm back. Okay, cheers. Hi all. Right, just had things on pause, so I should be back just to finish what will be part 6. I've given up on attaching this to part 5. An hour and 18 minutes long. Okay, what I've been doing, I think, is just all these units moved, so let's turn them all back around and then check them for combat. So check and ascend in order, looking for a lead unit. What's the lowest one? Is number 10. So he's going to check here. He's going to have assistance from unit 14. Yeah. Unit with 1 step can't be a lead unit. It's got to keep that one in mind as well. Right, reserve units. There's no reserve units from 69th Army. Auxiliary card does not have assault coordination. Not that that's going to matter. Yeah, okay, so let's check situationally. So it'd be 3-5 against 2 here. He is going to get a +1 because he's adjacent to supply German unit. Yeah, there's not as much to check with that situational strength now. In the Soviet so there's quite a few more things to look at, but not with us. So it's 5 against 3. So it isn't quite 2 to 1, is it? That's going to be 1.5 to 1. So 5 against 3. Yeah, it's not 2 to 1. Why are you stalling there, Grant? Okay. Yeah, so it's between 1 to 1 and 3 to 1. So calculate tactical value of attack then. Right, so we've got 5 against 3. Yeah, so 1.5. So yeah, so it's not 2 to 1. Right, command value of activating card is a 2. You see in the corner there. So that starts us with a 2, and remember we need to get a 7 here. Plus 2 of situational strength is 2 to 1 or greater. Well, it's not. Plus 1 of Soviet artillery barrage bonus applies. Well, no, we're just outside. Yeah, that show it right or not. Doesn't matter that they're inside the line, does it? No, Grant, that sounds silly. Yeah, so yeah, it's not inside the line, so that doesn't count. Now, I just noticed I don't have this other lamp. The bulb is dark now, so I'm just wondering. It looks a bit dull on the screen here, but yeah, I'm gonna have to get another bulb for that. Because I think over if we were looking further to the right of the map, it might be worse than it is over this end. It does look a bit dull. We'll see. I'll look back on it. Right, so where are we? Plus 2. We've got 2 for the command value of the card. No artillery barrage. If attack is in Soviet support, yeah, gives a plus 1. So that's 3. 3. If only Soviet units have armour. No, nobody's got armour. If any attacking units are surrounded, right. Get this one right this time, Grant. So none of the attacking units are surrounded. No. Plus 1 if flank, and this one read it all, Grant. If flanking will apply, it won't. We're only attacking from these 2 hexes, which are not adjacent to each other. So that's not a flanking attack. Or defender will be surrounded and unable to trace supply. Well, that's not the case either, so not a plus 1 for that. Target hex is VP time 2 or greater. No. If all combat tactics on auxiliary card apply to attack, well, yeah, it's got air power, so that would apply. So that's a plus 1. So that's up to 4, but it's not going to quite make 7, is it? And then plus 1 if less than 4 cards on the Soviet drop pile. No, there's still more than that. So we've only got a 4 with that check. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, I kind of thought that might be the more likely one as well. Okay, so that was Unit 10 doing a check. Now 11. So we've got 6 against 5 here. So yeah, 6 against 5 is 1 to 1 as well. There's not any extras to the situational strength check. Unit 11, yeah, okay. So, and then command value is 2. Yeah, is this not likely to just go in the same way, Grant? It's not 2 to 1. It's not an artillery barrage. It is in support, so it's up to 3. If only Soviet units have armour, well, that's not the case, so it stays at 3. It's the other way about. Attacking units surrounded, no. Flanking will apply, no. Yeah. Combat tactics will apply, yeah, it's a 4 again, so yeah, nothing doing there. Right, I didn't realise that was just going to be as quick as that, or I could have maybe got that finished. Not that I'm hard to use, guys, because I just had it on pause. So that's 10, 11, 12 cannot do because we've done a check on this unit already. 13 can though, because that unit's not been checked. But he's only 3 to 2. The unit gets a +1 because it's adjacent, so it is a 1 to 1. Are we not just going through the same thing, Grant? It's not in the artillery barrage. It's in support. It's 2, that's 3. Attacking it surrounded. Flanking. No. Yeah, it's 4. It's 4 again. It's not getting to 7. No, it's not. Okay, well that was rather quick and easy. So no attacks getting carried out. What else can we check? I think that's pretty much it, isn't it? Conduct attack checks. And then attack. Place eligible active reserve units on the map. That's from turn 4 onwards. Remove eligible units to reserve box. That's from turn 2 onwards. Place IP. That's from turn 4 onwards. Remove disperse markers. There is none. After completing command, discard command card. Then if there's a there's an auxiliary card still to come. Move it to the command card box and conduct another command. Oh well, okay. Well, we'll try and do that. What's that? Well, that's 126. Right, so we're done with this. It doesn't get shuffled on, it just gets discarded, this one. And then this card, which was in the auxiliary card box, now becomes a new command card. And I think I initially had said that it would be another activation, but it's maybe not, because we've got a special NKVD operations for turns 1 and 2. So yeah, well, let's look at that and see if we can, if it's nothing too complex, then we could probably just put this in at the end and hopefully have it at an hour and a half, and that'll be that. Right, find the special events, Grant. Soviet, that's combat tactics. Yeah, they've got them a bit different here. Soviet special events, NKVD operations. Okay, I found it. Well, I'm not liking how it starts out anyway. NKVD operations, turn 1 and 2. Assign 2 hits to the German unit stack adjacent to Soviet units with the most total Soviet combat strength, as if combat occurred. You choose the German target if more than 1 unit stack qualifies. Do not reduce hits in a city-town hex. Then remove 1 step total from those adjacent Soviet units per 12.6. Finally, if your unit's retreated, so we can still retreat, it's just assign 2 hits. Conduct advance after combat with those Soviet units. And 12.6, this must be about Soviet units getting hit. Yeah, 12.6 applying state losses. Okay, assign 2 hits to the German unit stack adjacent to Soviet units with the most total Soviet combat strength, as if combat occurred. Right, okay. So what it's saying is, for instance, this unit here would have 5 strength against it because there's two units. Okay, that's not nice, but okay. Right, well, it doesn't, obviously, it's nothing to do with the 69th Army. This is just an operation throughout, so we need to look further afield. There's the big picture, and I'll go and look to see what I can find. Right, well, I think there's no point in starting. I thought, well, I'll put some dice out here, but I think this is the guy that's getting hit. I mean, this is 5, like I already pointed out. This one would be 6. This one would be 8. And then there's nothing adjacent to any of this stuff. This one would be 7. But this one in here is getting... There's a 2 strength first guards unit underneath. So that's 7. And then 4. So that's 11 up there. Hang on, no, it's that's in a city, so that doesn't count. Does it not count, or you choose German target. Do not reduce hits in a city town hex. Oh, hold on. I'm not reading that the way I first read it. Is that saying that we don't get to reduce a hit? Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? Assign 2 hits to the German unit stack adjacent to Soviet units with the most total Soviet combat strength, as if combat occurred, right? So it's as if these 3 units were attacking adjacent. That would be 11 strength. That is definitely the most against that unit. You choose German target if more than 1 unit stack. You choose German target if more than 1 unit stack qualifies. So if it's got more than the same strength. Excuse me. Okay, well that's brutal. That is really bad. Yeah, because at first when I remembered about the city town thing, it says do not reduce hits in a city town hex. So my guess is that normally if I took 2 hits right now in a combat, I would be able to reduce one of them because I'm in a city, and I'm assuming that means I'm not getting to reduce that hit. So yeah, that's horrible because I'm taking 2 hits, so I'm going to have to retreat out of that city. Yeah. And the bit about you choose German target if more than 1 unit stack qualifies, I mean, that must mean more than 1 qualifies with the same amount of strength. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's hard to understand, Grant. I don't know why you're... Yeah. It's a bit later at night now, admittedly. And I'm just back from my dinner and I've had a couple of drinks, so... yeah, just a bit slower to react here, I think. Yeah, well, I don't think I've got a choice, have I? I mean... I don't get to soak up a hit for the city, and so if I just sit there and take 2 hits, the unit's eliminated. So he's going to get 2 victory points here, and well, it makes more sense retreating twice then, doesn't it? So, well, I can only retreat here for my first hit. And the second hit, I've got options. I mean, I could take a step loss and not disperse, but I don't see the point in that. I'm going to be in here or here, so I'm going to be in a safe kind of hex. Yeah, I suppose I'm better just going in here, aren't I? And I'll be dispersed. Okay, and then right, well they get a hit as well. Then remove 1 step total from those adjacent Soviet units per 12.6. So Apply the Soviet step loss to the unit with the most steps. Among units with the most steps, apply this loss to the unit with the highest selector. Oh well, at least we're hitting this guy. So 10 Popov. Hopefully he's coming back as a 3. He is good. So 10 Popov, he takes the hit. And then, but we consider advance after combat now. We've got unit 2, 10 and 13. So 2 is first. But it's a VP hex, so I mean it does final if your unit's retreated, conduct advance after combat with these Soviet units. Okay. Well, it's an automatic advance, isn't it? It's a VP hex, so this unit advances and then they take Slovansk. Control marker. And that's our first points. So he advances into there. Now his infantry can only advance 1 hex. They get 2 victory points. They're up to 4 now. We then would consider unit 10. That's a VP hex with 1 unit already advanced. So he'll advance from a 1 to 6. That's a 3. I was kind of hoping he would advance actually. Keeps the Popov unit behind. So, and it doesn't give him a chance of a, mind you, I don't think he would get a 2x advance there. Okay. And then that's 2 units already advanced in the hex, so he can't advance in there anyway. Okay, well that was rather nasty finish to the impulse, wasn't it? Yeah. NKV operations. Well, it's only on turn 1 and 2, so well in actual fact that could come back and do the same next turn, couldn't it? Whereas for us this would be a supplemental card that would only happen on either turn. It could come back and bring some more love to us. Okay. Right. It's about time this part was finished, I think. So, well, at least we got some gameplay in there. I'm just going to have to put a comment in the header of part 5 saying that there's no any gameplay at all in it. It's just me fixing things and talking about things. And in fact, there was a bit at the beginning of this as well, wasn't there? Yeah. I'm sure more's going to come, like, but, well, we hope to keep it to a minimum. But we do try and, we want to achieve, perfection's a word that you can't really put in here, but as close to, but we'll see. Right, so it'll be, what have we got? We've got, I've got 4 cards. We've still got 2 cards in our draw pile. What is our thinking? I'll not play the cards out yet. Well, you know what, I might as well, because that's what we're going to do next. Right, you can just about squeeze things in there. So there's our 4 cards. Now we still have a line here. These can't break through. They didn't do anything. They moved up adjacent, obviously. And we've still got a line here. This was a gap, so we managed to avoid that. 6th Army didn't activate and move through that gap. So I did say that I would probably want to play this. And it could just be a simple case of moving this guy back. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's got to be in there, isn't it? Well, that's fine. And then that holds that line back there, outside the artillery barrage. And this guy's inside it. He is a bit of a concern. I think when 3rd tank activate again, I think he's a goner. There's not enough of what we can do about it. We've had a card to activate them, haven't we? So whether we could get lucky and, because we had 2 supplementals, I think, didn't we? Whether we could get lucky and get the supplemental for 48 core and maybe be able to get that guy back and have, I mean, it's not really safe. It just means, you know, artillery. It just means they don't have artillery in the combat. You know. Okay, it's something removed, but and the fact that guy got dispersed up there, not really a big concern. We don't have a card for third corps either, though. So, well, we must have a primary card for them. That must be one of the cards left. Must be one of the cards. Must be for third corps. Or is that right? Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 primary cards, so we're missing one. That must be for third corps, yeah. So we've got that to come, and then a random whatever. Well, we'll see. But yeah, looks like I'll probably do that, so it's a bit of a simple impulse. But we shall see. Right, I better get this one cut before it gets too much longer. That's long enough. Okay, and I'll be back. Well, I don't know. I feel like I could start a bit more, but it's maybe not wise, to be honest. It's a later night episode, this, and although my impulse is going to be kind of simple, once I turn over a couple of Soviet cards, that'll soon change probably. And I mean, I know I've got more time now, but I don't want to madly rush ahead, because the errors are getting pointed out quite frequently up to now, so it's maybe wise to just slow down and watch back on what I've done. And yeah, right, I'll get away for now, and well, I'll be back with this is part 6, so I'll be back with part 7 sometime soon. Cheers.